guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys watching the video today, and invite everybody to subscribe to the channel if you hadn't out here. Guys, today we're going to talk about my favorite way to catch bass on Halloween. Now we got, at the time of this video is being filmed, Halloween's about a week away, and I've got one specific technique that I've caught bass on Halloween, right, within a week either side of Halloween for the past 35 years. We're going to talk about it today. Before we get started, guys, I just wanted to invite everybody to please check out our Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns. We got breakdowns of all the big lakes, all, not even big ones, but all the little ones too, about any lake across the country, every season of the year. Right now we're really featuring our fall breakdowns. It's a really good resource to learn more about any lake you want to learn more about, and get you 40 good areas to start out your hunt on that. So I'll put the link in the description for the Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns. Okay, one of the most, to me guys, one of the most, well, it's not fascinating, well, it is fascinating, but one of the most interesting parts of bass fishing is following the fish and their seasonal movements and migrations and habits with that. Now, that's one of the things I really like about traditional bass fishing is there's a constant, consistent change in how they behave and how they feed and how they react to different lures. And one of the things that I've noticed right around the time when you get around Halloween, it's a pretty big transition time as far as overall, because you got some major water changes going on around Halloween. This time of year, sort of in the end of October like this is the first time since really late last winter where you start to get some freezing temperatures in most parts of the country. Usually Halloween, or November, you get your first freeze, first frost. And when that happens, it triggers something within the bass, specifically around the end of October, Halloween. By far, guys, the number one technique, if I could give you guys any piece of advice on catching bass in Halloween, it's to get you a little small spinnerbait, like with 3/8 to a half-ounce spinnerbait that's got a small profile on it, and put one number 3 willow leaf blade on it, just a little silver willow leaf, and sometimes cut the wire back to make it a small profile with some type of a translucent shad colored skirt. I usually like that barbed wire translucent, something that looks like a shad, and go out there and burn that spinnerbait down the banks and points. Guys, this is the time of year you can have a ball doing that. It's like, what you have to key on is it's all about shade and it's all about rock. So if you have a lake that has a lot of grass in it or it's flatter, it may not work as good. But the rock can be any size. It can be gravel rock, it can be bluff rock, it can be basketball size rock. It doesn't really matter, but you got to have some type of a shade line on it. So therefore, it's usually always better, first 2 or 3 hours in the morning, or the first hour before dark or something like that, or on some type of a cloudy, windy day. Now, my favorite areas to fish this in is I get on steep, rocky banks or steep banks that have some type of rock on it, that have a fairly sharp drop across it, and just sort of parallel or make a 45-degree angle cast down those banks, depending upon how deep the water is and how far it slopes off. And the same with points. I'll get on those points and I'll cover the water anywhere between 2 to 10 foot deep, depending upon your water clarity, and burn that spinnerbait about 2 to 3 inches under the water. Guys, we talked about this a little bit on some videos the last couple weeks because it's such a killer technique, but you don't ever want to let your spinnerbait get over 6 inches under the water. If you let it get 6 inches under the water, they're not going to bite it. And if you break the surface with the blades, they're not going to bite it very good. So try to just keep it on that sweet spot between like 2 to 5 inches underneath the surface. Keep it moving pretty fast, and just cover water with it, man. That's the whole thing about it, is covering as much water as you can on those shady banks, and you're taking advantage of those active low light feeders. And if you, like I said, if you got a cloudy, windy day, they can bite it all day long. It definitely helps if you got wind, although you don't have to have it if you have clouds. But guys, it's one of the funnest ways that you'll find to catch a fish. I mean, the fish hammer the thing when they hit it. It's like, a lot of times there's a boil behind the bait, almost like a topwater lure, but it's one of my favorite techniques to catch them, and it works every Halloween, man. It's just like, when end of October gets here, I always have one of those little spinner baits tied on. Another thing you're going to find out about it, it's pretty much the Clearwater technique. I don't catch hardly any fish on that technique if the water visibility is under 3 feet. So ideally, I like over 3 foot of visibility for this to work good. And also, it works good on a lake that has some type of a mixed species. It's a really good technique to catch smallmouth and spotted bass and largemouth. But if you have a lake that has some degree of smallmouth, largemouth, and spotted bass, that's when it's probably the best. So anyway, guys, just a quick tip, give it a try, get you a little spinnerbait out there, cover water on Halloween with it, a week or so either side of Halloween, and it's just a really fun way to catch some fish doing that. So talk to y'all later. See ya.